The other problem that this airplane had was a policy problem. When Weber died and was replaced by Kesselring, Kesselring's dictum to all of the airplane designers was all bomber designs must be able to dive at 60 degrees. A 4-engine bomber diving at 60 degrees. You know, that's insane by definition from anybody who's an aerodynamicist. That's just crazy. But that's what they were saddled with. And so they had to build a structure in the 177 that would take that kind of a load. The diving is not the tough part. It's the pulling out at the bottom without pulling the wings off. And that was one of the things that they had really a lot of trouble with. The A5, there were 56 possible sources of engine fires that had been researched and had solutions proposed by early 1943. 56 different point sources that would cause this airplane to catch on fire. And they had solutions to all 56 of them by January 43, but they were too late to get into the production surge for the A5 variant, and the A5 became the airplane that carried the rest of the long-range war for the Luftwaffe. In the Little Blitz, they actually started a slight pushover at 430 miles an hour and proved pretty much impervious to even the flak batteries. They could not track them well enough to hit them at that point. 303 miles an hour, 3,400 miles. And this airplane could range, it could close the gap of the Central Atlantic, just like the B-24 did for the Royal Navy and the Army Air Force. It could actually get out there where there was this big hole around Iceland before we got something long range to put out there. The subs could refuel at sea from the milk cows. They could surface, recharge the batteries without fear of anybody hitting them. And ours could do the same thing. And finally, this airplane had the range to do something about that, with a service ceiling of about 26,000. So not bad. Very clean, very fast, very long range. And this is the 4-engine derivative that they should have been building in the very beginning, the 277. When they actually got around to doing that, the simple solution, Goering even personally forbade people to mention the name of this airplane in his presence. Because there again, Hitler was interested in how many airplanes do I have, not how many engines do each of my airplanes have. And so Goering got a chewing out from Hitler about, I'm not interested in that stuff, I just want mass, I want volume. And so he told the RLM, shut up talking about the 4-engine Heinkel 177, I don't want to hear more about it. Again, we got helped, very much helped by our enemy in that set of circumstances. 8 production airplanes were in fact completed, but by the time they got the completed airplanes out to where they could actually wring them out, in July of 44, the Luftwaffe came up with what was called the Emergency Fighter Program. The RAF was hammering them so bad at night, and we were hammering them so bad during the day, that they basically said, no build anything else but fighters from this point on. I don't want anything else but fighters. They took bomber crews and tried to turn into fighter pilots, except for the Stuka. The Stuka they kept. Stuka was kind of their warthog. And it's like they kept the Stuka till the end of the war. I don't know if you've ever read the after-action report of probably the best Stuka pilot that the Luftwaffe had. He started outflying Stukas in Spain during the Spanish Civil War, and he flew Ju-87s through the entire Second World War and survived. Cost him one leg, but he survived. He was flying operational sorties in 1945 when he was captured. In the same Stukas, with different engine and different defensive armament, but that was about it. And so all of them were scrapped. All these beautiful, what would have been a nasty airplane for us to try to intercept. That thing is flying at B-29 speeds and at B-29 altitudes 2 years before the B-29 got into operational service. It would have been a real problem for us. Probably the longest range one is this one. This is Messerschmitt's 264, which was called the America Bomber. It basically began as a private venture in 1940. And its design was to take off from occupied France and bomb New York and come back unescorted, unrefueled. The first one used the Jumo 211 engines off the Ju-88, and the second one used the BMW 801s like the later Ju-88s used. It was destroyed prior to its first flight. This is a picture of it at Berlin before it was bombed into destruction. And it was the first airplane was also destroyed by a bombing attack in 44. 351 miles an hour, 27,000 feet, 9,300 miles. Unrefueled. Not too shabby. The airplane that probably, this was such a simple solution, you wonder why they didn't find out beforehand. If you need a longer range, make the wing bigger, put more fuel in it, add a couple engines for more thrust, and you got a longer range airplane. Why don't you just do that? And so that's what Junkers did with the 390. They submitted it in a competition with the America Bomber, and it was just a simple growth thing. It was easy for them to do. Engineering, no big problem for them. Early 44, the V2 version of this airplane flew nonstop from south of Bordeaux to 12 miles short of the Atlantic coast of New York City, turned around and flew home.